Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we are attempting to showcase a new card, and that new card is Scrawling Crawler from Magic Foundations. This is a 3-mana 3/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card, and whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. So there's a lot of effects that punish your opponent for drawing loads of cards, and this is just another one in that chain of creatures. So we're just seeing if we can play a density of them together and do something a bit gross with Echo of Eons. So we've got good old-fashioned Orcish Bowmasters here. We've got Razorkin Needlehead. This is another relatively new one here. Whenever your opponent draws a card, it deals 1 damage. This will hit them every time they draw, not just when they draw additional cards. Sheoldred the Apocalypse, which again is like Needlehead, but will also combo nicely with our own ability to draw cards. And the aforementioned Scrawling Crawler. So, the aim of the game here is a bunch of fast mana. So we've got Chrome Moxes, we've got Simian Spirit Guides, Lotus Petals, Lion's Eye Diamonds, Dark Rituals. We are powering out the mana today. And what we're doing with that mana is putting Echo of Eons into our graveyard with Entomb, and then hopefully use the Lion's Eye Diamond to put it into the graveyard from our hand or whatever. And then we're just going to spin the wheel. So the idea is we play one of these guys, and then we wheel. And then we go again, and then we wheel. And then our opponent should be dead pretty soon afterwards. We also have Burning Wish, which can go and find our 4th copy of Echo, or it can find things like Tendrils of Agony to win the game, or Peer into the Abyss, which you can point at our opponent, make them draw a load of cards, loot a bunch of life, and get pinged to death by our little creatures. That is basically the plan. We do have a backup Urza Saga plan, so we can go into like that beatdown angle. We are running a bunch of Badlands and even Blackcleave Cliffs. We're unlikely to have enough lands for this to come in taps anyway. We have disappearing lands and a low land count. So this is kind of just more copies of Badlands for us. And we have some ancient tombs to help power out the things like the Scrawling Crawler to activate our Urza Saga, just to get some more raw mana for things like Echo of Eons. And we also to power out the Sheoldred. It might be an issue that we have the Ancient Tomb here. We're going to see. I played a deck that looked a little bit like this before, but without the Needleheads and Crawlers, and we had some other stuff going on, and we managed to 5-0 with that league. I will put the link to that league in the description. It was a while back, but I just kind of brewed that out of nowhere with Orcish Bowmasters when it just came out, and we smashed everyone. I don't think we lost a single game, actually. So we're building off the back of that. Sideboard-wise, what have we got here? We got some Shattering Sprees and some Abrades, because we're going to need to blow up some Vexing Baubles at some point if we're trying to do some 0-drop stuff. But there might be some other problem permanents as well. We've got ourselves a Haywire Mite, which we can fetch off of the Urza Saga. Some defense grids against counter magic. One off Feed the Swarm we can tutor up with the Burning Wish if we need to get rid of something like a ley line for some reason. And yeah, that's about it. To be an absolute blast to play, and we can rattle through people, and hopefully nobody counters our stuff and we just get to run roughshod over people. Because the things this deck can do are pretty gross, but we can just play some guys and beat down, which is interesting. That does expose us to removal with our game plan a little bit. But we can just combo and win with spells. Right, remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to see my videos early, you can become a member for just £1 a month and do exactly that. Alright, let's Scrawling Crawler our way to victory. We are on the play here. So what does our hand do? We have Blackcleave Cliffs. We get to Dark Ritual, Bowmasters, Entomb, and just do our thing. So our hand does exactly the thing we want, as long as our opponent doesn't stop us. If I do, that's a problem for later. I would like to cast a Dark Ritual. Alright, our opponent's just F6'd over there. So we'll ping them once. I'll cast an Entomb. It's Echo. Play a Lion's Eye Diamond. Crack this for some blue mana. We will do a little Echo of Eons. We will point these at our opponent. Alright. So our opponent's scooping on turn 1. What will we continue to do from this point? We can go this and this. Make a Razorkin Needlehead. That doesn't get us black mana for the Entomb. So we don't get to keep going, but we get to play another creature and have basically a lethal threat. We don't know anything about what our opponent's doing, and we're a deck that's going to be doing Burning Wish stuff anyway, so I think we're just going to resubmit with the same 60 and see how it pans out for us. So far, so good. I have a feeling that our opponent plays a lot of combo decks. Pretty bad with remembering names, though, so I could be mistaken, but I think they do. So what does this hand actually achieve? We have no route to anything particularly interesting. I think we can do better than this. So we're looking at here. We can power out a turn 1 Sheoldred. That's pretty good, just generally speaking. So if I put back this Chrome Mox, we can power out a Sheoldred, and then maybe follow up with a Scrawling Crawler if our draws are kind to us. Or do we put back the Burning Wish, so we're more likely. But we need mana. We need cards to put under Chrome Mox. I think we just put the Mox back here. Alright, is our opponent going to turn 1 bop us? And we're just going to be ships in the night over here? A mountain. Okay. I will cast a Dark Ritual here. I'll play a Sheoldred the Apocalypse. Alright, we're in. I will play out this... Do I play out this Lion's Eye Diamond now? I think I do, in case something happens to our hand. Or they play a Vexing Bauble. And then, if we can get some sort of wheel action going soon, that'd be nice. Like, any mana source gives us the Echo off of the Burning Wish. And then we draw 7, our opponent takes 14. We bash them for 4, they die in their upkeep. Eidolon of the Great Revel. Okay, so our opponent's on the old Burn Life. This is pretty good against what we're doing, but the Sheoldred already being in play is a big issue for our opponent there. I'll just attack here. Alright. The Sheoldred continues to burn our opponent down. A Chain Lightning. Targeting our Sheoldred. Sure. So that hurts our opponent a bit there. I'll say... I could throw this back at the cost of a Lion's Eye Diamond. I don't think that's worth it. Our opponent's life total is certainly under some amount of duress here. So the reason they secret it that way is if we throw the Chain Lightning back at them, they had the mana then to throw it back at us again. So they're now going to play this Monastery Swift Spear, and then they're going to bolt our Sheoldred. Okay, they're going to Fire Blast our Sheoldred. Now we know what we're up against as well. I think our deck is going to be relatively good into this sort of thing. Like, our opponent's at 8 and we're at, what, 18? That's quite the cushion to work with here. So I can redraw us a new hand if I think that is where I want to be. Or I could just play this Needlehead. I think I kind of want a Burning Wish here. It does reload our opponent, so it's not guaranteed to be a great use of our time. But we'll try it. Let's get this Echo. Just spin to win. This doesn't trigger the Eidolon. Okay. What is our plan here? Play a land for the turn. We cast a Dark Ritual here. We are certainly hurting ourselves here, aren't we? Play the Crawler. Our opponent has 1 mana up, so they can just kill our Crawler potentially, which would be a real pain. We are going quite far in here. We've burnt a lot of our life here. We want these Abrades. So they have to kill our Crawler in response here. And they do, but they take 2 damage for this. We don't need much here, but we need something. So 2, 4, 6. No, we're just dead. We just killed ourselves there. A little awkward. That's fine. I believe we are fine to just be on the play and just do our thing. There is an argument to bring in some Abrades just so we don't get quite as jammed up. But I think what we're doing is just so powerful and goes underneath what our opponent's doing that we're okay to do that. So I'm just going to resubmit. Yeah, this works, I think. It's a tiny bit slower than I would want, but I think that's okay. So we play the Blackcleave Cliffs first. Then we can... I don't really want our Lion's Eye Diamond to get blown up is the thing. So we could power out Assumed Spirit Guide, or we can just use the Entomb this turn, which I think is what I'm going to do. Our opponent doesn't ramp anything out, so we're going to get another turn before something like an Eidolon comes down. Right, they're tapped out for a Goblin Guide. Alright, this is good news for us. Right, we got a land that we don't want. Sure. Let's go for an Entomb here. Get the Echo. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So we can Needlehead and leave more mana floating, which is probably better. Or we can leave red mana floating. Or we can leave black mana floating and just play the Crawler. Yeah, I like playing the Crawler and leaving our Blackcleave Cliffs available. I don't believe our opponent would board in someone like Faerie Macabre because normally it doesn't really work against Echo because you don't tend to put the Echo in the graveyard at a time where your opponent can actually catch it. Let's go for this Echo. They could Mindbreak Trap this. They did not. Alright, so our opponent's losing some life over there. And then what do we have here? So it's probably going to involve this Dark Ritual. And we will Entomb for another Echo. Play the LED. Crack this. Spin that there wheel. We don't need blue floating. We don't have blue spells really apart from the Echoes. Alright, we're pinging our opponent for a bunch there. Now what are we doing? We've got a full grip, but our hand doesn't actually go anywhere from here. Okay. So next turn, our opponent takes 1 when they draw a card. And then on our turn, we draw a card. We both draw a card, and they take another 1. So they're probably going to blow up our creature in some form. Yep, there is the Chain Lightning to get rid of our creature. You can see another Goblin Guide. We're going to draw any bad lands we don't want off the top of our deck. Possibly even actual bad lands. Was on top of our library. A Dark Ritual. Okay, so can we Burning Wish into Tendrils here in a way that wins us the game? So this is 3 mana, 4, 5, 6 mana. So that is exactly lethal, isn't it? So go Dark Ritual, cast Burning Wish here. Tendrils, point is our opponent. That Unless I have Myrick Trap. Alright, it's the game. So we managed to get there. We had some interesting ones. We dealt a lot of damage to ourselves in the face of an Eidolon. But proof of concept, good. Uncertain about these ancient tombs now, I think about it. But we'll see how things progress. Sometimes we might need to be on an Urza Saga plan. Let's go to round 2. So we can keep this one. I don't think I want to play either of these lands. I don't think they're good enough. We very much want to send it hand and hope for the best. Would love to see our opponent... Well, I wouldn't love to see our opponent counterspell because we're going to give them a new 7. Right, let's play another LED. Let's crack this for blue. And I'm going to leave this LED back in case we draw another Echo. And if this gets countered, we at least have some resources to work with. There's the Force of Negation. Pitching Alluring Revealed. Could be a bit of a toughie for us. The Ancient Tombs will help us in this matchup because they allow us to power out a defense grid on turn 1 more easily. But we're going to need some help here. We need 2 mana, one of it red, and then we can have a new 7. But every time we get a 7, so does our opponent. Right, I'm going to pop our graveyard up here so we can keep an eye on it. Wrath of the Skies. Yep, it's pretty good. Goodbye, our remaining permanent. How much longer do I think I can continue playing this game? I'd like to get a little bit more of a feel. It does feel like our opponent is just on a blue-white control deck. They might expose some red mana at some point. Very heavily indexed into basics. We've got ponders and stuff. Losing that LED is a real burden because at the moment we just needed one more land and we could go and get an Echo and at least try. All of our just generic creatures here are going to be pretty good because our opponent wants to draw lots of extra cards, so we're going to punish them for that in a big way. So we can play a less combo-y build against our opponent. I'm trying to all-in them, although our deck is built around all-inning a little bit, to be honest. But we can work something out here. A Blackcleave Cliffs. Okay, that is step 1, isn't it? Take out an Echo now so we don't draw it. I think that's probably worthwhile. We'll see if our opponent taps out and does anything here. This could just be a 4th Eolingus for 2. And that's a pretty solid approach. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Well, we're going to Entomb and see if we can spin. Okay, they're just brainstorming. Obviously, that's very bad for us as well. It's been a while since I've been defeated by Jace the Mind Sculptor. Maybe today is the day. Kicking it old school. Let's cast this Entomb. Let's Echo our opponent just F6 stat. An Urza Saga. What do we have that we can get that actually looks useful here? None of these look particularly useful to me. We can't shoot for any mana. Is there any point even firing this Burning Wish off? I don't think so. Can we just hold it for now? So it doesn't take much for us to get back in this game. Like a Lotus Petal or an LED gets us firing off. Just another land on its own lets us do as a Saga plan, which is reasonable against a control deck like this. Because they're not going to have Wastelands, so they're not going to have a clean answer for it. Now they're getting back the Force of Negation, so this is very much putting us onto, let's see if we can Saga them out a bit. 5 mana. There's the 4th Eolingus. Okay, so this game's going to end pretty quickly at least. I think we'll probably just take one more draw step. If we miss on the land here, I think we can probably call it a day. Although this gets to tutor for an LED. So if we find a land this turn and we send the Echo... Sorry, if we find a Petal, we can send the Echo. And then next turn we can send another Echo. And maybe we can spin our wheels enough to get there. An Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. I'm down to clown with that. So we'll get our opponent to do a Jace Brainstorm. And then we'll fire in this Orcish Bowmasters, which can't be Force of Negation. And will cause our opponent some issues. Hopefully. They could hardcast a Force here. A Brainstorm over the top. Sure. They've got a lot of cards to work with. Okay, let's ping down this Jace. They could just plow this, though. So we might not be getting any more options. Yeah, okay. I understand. So we know they've got a Force of Negation. So our Echo is going to struggle here. So what we need to do is draw... I don't know. We're probably losing this one, but it's not going to take very long for us to lose this one. So we may as well take another draw and see what's going on. Alright, let's fetch up a Lion's Eye Diamond here. Let's Burning Wish. So this gives us additional copies of Echo of Eons. So if they counter this, we still Echo of Eons. If they don't counter this, then we don't get to Echo right now. But we might be able to next turn. Right, we'll exile this. Cast the Echo. So they hard cast the Force of Negation. Do they have another counter spell? Can we scoop it up? They have a Force of Will. Entering scoop mode. Okay, so we didn't show them that many creatures, so maybe we can get them on that front. I would like these defense grids. Where am I going to fit in defense grids? How much can I rely on my graveyard here? Maybe not as much as I would like to. Maybe we can trim and Entomb. And then we're probably just trimming some of our weaker payoffs. How do I feel about this Sheoldred? It is expensive, but this game might go long. So we've got access to 3 defense grids now. We need 1 more cut to get the 4th in. Take out a Chrome Mox, because it's pretty bad into Wrath of the Skies. Let's try that. Because we're not a Vexing Bauble combo deck, it does get a little tricky for us. Okay, we can keep this one. So this is 5, 6 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. I think I'm willing to... This is our blue mana, so we don't really want to burn that off. So we're going to play out an Orcish Bowmasters here. Actually, no, we're going to play out the defense grid. That makes more sense. And to be mana efficient, I guess we can put it into our graveyard now. And next turn we have 1, 2, 3, 4... Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So if we fire this off, we have 3, 4 mana this turn, so we can play this and crack it. I don't really want to crack it just yet, though. I want to get this Bowmaster down. Am I using this Petal? I think we Entomb here. As annoying as that could end up being for us. And then next turn, we've got 4 mana. So any mana source off the top gives us Bowmaster's Wheel. We might be under some sort of Spell Pierce action here. Okay, I don't hate this either. Surgical Extraction targeting our Echo of Eons. Sure. Well, we're not going to be wheeling very much. We're just going to be playing guys. But our guys are very good against what our opponent does. It means that I don't mind getting rid of this Lotus Petal anymore. Does mean our Bowmaster is going to be played out, so we're not going to catch our opponent. But you rarely catch people because they're playing around it, especially now I've seen our hand anyway. Just taking a good long look at our deck because it's a bit of a spicy one. Defense grid in. Consign to memory. Okay. Let's get Lotus Petal in. Let's get Bowmasters in. And feels hard from this point onwards, but our opponent only has 3 cards in hand. About 4 now they've drawn for turn. Ooh, they missed on a land. So if I play this as a Saga, we can start making constructs if we draw a land. If we don't draw a land, though, we don't get to make any constructs. That is kind of a tough call. I don't think we're going to have... Like, we need to put pressure on our opponent before they get to start drawing lands and making their game plan work. Okay, we did not draw what we wanted to there. I'd like to find a Dark Ritual or something next turn. We've already been through 2 rituals, though, so not the most likely. So our opponent's hand is probably just stacked full of counter magic. So not being able to use this Saga is a bit annoying, but if we draw a Dark Ritual, we can activate the Saga. We did not. Okay, so we're going to get Lion's Eye Diamond here. Cast a Burning Wish. We've certainly got Echoes in exile now, that's for sure. Force of Negation. Understood, opponent. They are steadily just getting beaten down. At some point they might need to just play what is presumably a Ponder in their hand. There it is. I will take this. Get a ping, got our clock. Do the Angry Creatures thing. I'm not sure how much removal our opponent has in their deck. Sure, we're pretty close to playing out a Sheoldred now. Will it resolve? Will it stick around? Who knows? Right, they found their second land, but they have to pay for it. So this is probably going to be a Tundra into a Plow, be their optimum sequence here. They've seen our decks, they know that we can't interact with their lands in any meaningful fashion. So they should just get what is best for their colours. But they might be in a bit of a weird space of having red and white spells they want to cast. Alright, it's a Tundra. We're going to get Ending, we're going to get Plowed. An Ending on the 2-2. That's unfortunate. That does cut our clock into quite a smaller chunk. This Chrome Mox does not assist what we're trying to do right now. Right, our opponent did nothing. Let's tap with Bowmasters. Do a second main phase Sheoldred. If our opponent wants to tap out and do something to our Bowmasters, it might leave the coast clear for Sheoldred. Am I expecting the Sheoldred to resolve? Not really. But we're going to give it the old college try. Oh wow, we're in. That is big news. Alright, the creature side of our deck was good. Do we want to do anything differently here? I'm kind of tempted to trim a Chrome Mox and get another creature in. Kind of like that. So that'll do it for me. Well, the Entombs get worse when we have less Chrome Moxes. If they're attacking our graveyard. The fact that they kept in Surgicals, or they put in Surgicals rather, is interesting because it says that means they want to go after like our Lion's Eye Diamonds to stop us getting more Lion's Eye Diamonds. Or they just don't have that many things for us, any big haymakers. And they probably have quite a lot that comes out if they're not expecting us to be creature heavy. But surprise, surprise, we are more creature heavy than they think. We're tempted to remove another Entomb. Go on then, let's get more crawlers in. Let's just bother them with those. Because making our opponent draw 7 is a little bit awkward. I don't think I can keep this. I would like a land, but... Okay, let's mulligan this one. So what do we have here? We have a Needlehead. Has some more mana. I would love some permanent mana. We're on the draw. How am I keeping this? Seems a little sketchy, doesn't it? We're just kind of relying on a Needlehead to do the distance. But if we go lower, then our opponent just gets to mangle us. Do I believe in the top of the deck to produce a land? It doesn't have to produce a land, actually. Yeah, sure, I'm going to keep this one. And I'm going to get rid of the Crawler. And then we've got access to... So we could have kept the Crawler because it draws extra cards. But I think we just want the Needleheads. And then we can save the Lotus Petal that way. And have access to things like Lion's Eye Diamond, Entomb. Alternatively, we can have that as well. I will cast this. Let's get the Needlehead in. Any mana source lets us wheel next turn. Alright, so this is any draw. So it will chip away with our opponent's draw for turn as well. Much like a Sheoldred does. Okay, 2 islands from our opponent, so no white removal on the cards just yet. If they want to start cracking clues, that does help us in terms of... Alright, they didn't even attack. That was an interesting one, isn't it? Let's get this Lotus Petal on. If we attack, is our opponent going to block? They might not, because they might fear the Bowmaster they've already seen. Let's see how much they value their Tamiyo. Alright. Not that highly. So we can play another Needlehead, or we can go and get this Burning Wish on the go. I'm not sure this is going to resolve. Alright, that was a 3-for-1 for our opponent. A little bit awkward for us. But their cantrips aren't great here, so that's something. The Tamiyo is outclassed, but albeit very slowly, by this Needlehead. So we need to draw an Echo. Alright, now they're coming in with the Tamiyo. That suggests to me that they're going to be killing our creature in the near future. Probably a Prismatic Ending. No, just a Fairy. Yeah, bouncing our only creature. It's pretty good. Okay, deck. We need you to come up with the goods. That's not the goods. I think our opponent's just taking us apart. Now, I do need to find a win condition, but it shouldn't take them that long. Because now they get to activate all of their Scrying and stuff like that. All the Ponders, cantrips, they're all live. They can start cracking clues. They can transform their Tamiyo. I'm going to crack the other clue here. No, they're going to Ponder. Either way, they still end up with a flip Tamiyo, which draws them most of their deck in the very near future. Now, obviously, we can stop them wanting to draw their whole deck, but they are quite likely to get that going before we get anything going. And Urza's Saga. I will play this out. This can get us a Lotus Petal and start the ball rolling a little bit on some things. Tamiyo is ticking up. Teferi is ticking up. They've got Hardcast Force of Will mana sat over there. Okay, we have a Lotus Petal. I don't think we're supposed to play that one out, actually. I think that was an error to play that one out. I'm not sure it matters that much here. But it does give us the option to make an Urza Saga construct if that's really what we want to be doing. I don't think it is. It gets to attack for 1 because of Tamiyo, which isn't really very good. And it costs us 2 cards to make a 1-1. Or to make a 2-2 that attacks as a 1-2. I don't think that's worth it for us. I think we just need to have a really big turn right now. If we draw Echo of Eons, that's probably a start. Needs to resolve though. Defense grid. We have a Chrome Mox. Consigned to memory on the trigger. Yeah, we'll call that one a day. Yeah, we got absolutely picked apart there. Not even a chance. This is where being a Storm deck that doesn't have access to like Veils and Vex and Baubles comes apart a little bit. Alright, let's go to round 3. Okay, we can keep this. It wheels and tries to find something else. Or we can turn 1, Needlehead, turn 2, wheel. If we think that's where we want to be. A Flooded Strand. I think I might want to be on the Needlehead life, you know. We'll see. Alternatively, we can just do everything. Big fan of doing everything. So, because our opponent's blue, I think next turn we're just going to play the Crawler, and then we'll crack the Echo. Wow, we're getting a Force of Will pitching Brainstorm. Okay, I think we're still going to stay on the line that I just said. If our opponent wastelands us, then that's going to... It's not really going to make the most difference. It's going to be a little bit annoying. Meticulous Archive. So we could be looking at a Dreadnought deck. I pitched a Brainstorm, so there's not really any information. Tundra being binned off, so our opponent doesn't need additional lands. There is a Wasteland. Okay. I stand still. Okay, if only my Crawler could resolve first, eh? Let's get this creepy Crawler down. Yep, you get to draw some cards. Can I have a standstill? Sorry, a Scrawling Crawler, or is your standstill going to find you the answer? Let's spin those wheels. Was our Crawler so bad our opponent didn't care about counterspelling it? Possibly. Alright. We're in with some stuff. What are we doing with this stuff? We get to spin the wheel again if we want to. It's probably not a bad way to go. So, the Chrome Mox comes down, and it has to get us... Well, it doesn't have to imprint the Dire Ritual. It depends if we think the Burning Wish is going to resolve. Right, let's cast a Burning Wish. Let's go and get this Echo. If they counter the Echo, I guess it doesn't matter. I'd rather just have the mana floating here. If they counter the Echo, it's very hard for us to get blue mana anyway. Let's see if we wheel them into a force or not. We did not. Okay. So we get to continue with our nonsense. Alright, our opponent's scooping it up over there. Scrawling Crawler. Putting the W's on the board. Sideboard. Our opponent's probably going to have some counter magic. So we're going to be doing some amount of like trimming like we did last time. And maybe we don't want to get rid of all those Chrome Moxes. We do need them. Maybe against the Wastelands, the Sheoldred is just going to be too slow. We'll try like this. I suspect our opponent is on Dreadnought since we saw the Wasteland. That would be my guess. They're unlikely to be a control deck. They could be like a Bant deck that's got Life from the Loam engine in it and just runs a couple of Wastelands here and there. That's perfectly viable. What does our hand do? We can do some wheel stuff. We have to slow it by a turn, but that's fine, I think. We're not all in with this hand straight away, which is helpful, because that's not really where I want to be. Meticulous Archive, sure. They left it on top. What does that mean for us? Would I like our Simian Spirit Guide to always tap for mana by putting it under a Chrome Mox? I think so. So if we go... We can Bowmasters this turn, and then do some other stuff next turn. I think I want to play out the petals so that we can play around a daze. Do I play out both petals to play around daze? That seems a bit sketchy. I think we'll just play out the one to play around the daze. Maybe we'll get them with as Bowmasters, maybe we won't. I want our opponent to have to think about what's going on a little bit. They haven't seen Bowmasters, I don't think. They can probably discern that we have something along those lines if we're playing the Scrawling Crawler. A Wasteland. Not a massive fan of that one. Let's float to black mana. I will cast this now, so we don't have to crack our petal. Because otherwise you don't get to play this around a daze. It lets our opponent know it's coming, so we're not going to like snag a Brainstorm or anything. Yep, goodbye Bowmasters. But we are going to be cracking in for 1 damage, which is not nothing. I will take it. A Chrome Mox. Let's attack. We have lost our main black source we were trying to use, which is a pain. So let's try and cast this Entomb. Echo down. I'm kind of loath to do this, but I'm not sure it gets better for us. Maybe we're supposed to do this before we attack, just in case we get to grow our Bowmasters at some point. Oh wow, actually resolved. That was a bit of a shocker, if I'm being honest. So, we can't do an awful lot here. We can play out a land, though. I'll play out a land and I will pass for now. We have just reloaded our opponent a bit there. But that is the nature of our... Can we do a Peer into the Abyss line? Probably. Play this out and this out. Should be a pretty clean Peer line. Let's see if we can resolve our Burning Wish. We get to Tameo ult ourselves, basically. Right, yeah. So if we attack this, we attack into Doorkeeper Thrall, and that's not worth it. Alright, didn't have a Doorkeeper Thrall. Maybe they're not on Dreadnought. They must be. What deck plays Wastelands? This. Or just brainstorming straight into all of our open mana. Pretty baller move. Alright, we're cracking the Strand now. Alright, they have black mana. And a Tameo. Sure. So they're not on Dreadnought, or they're very unlikely to be on Dreadnought, given this particular configuration. Should we get Creepy Crawlies on the go? Don't mind getting the Creepy Crawly on the go. Let's attack with the Orc first, see if we can get a 3-point damage here. Nope. No fear of Bowmaster. We don't have the second blue for our Echo yet. But what we can do is if our opponent Thought Seizes us, we can fire off 2 Dark Rituals to make sure they take the Echo. Force of Will on a Scrawling Crawler. Card is too good. OP. Needs to be banned. Too powerful. Alright, opponents. Alright, the Tameo card advantage is beginning to build now. They've got the Clue on the go. They can crack that as and when they wish. Okay, so now they're flipping the Tameo as well. So no Walk Army attacks now, unless we can grow it. So we need to find like a Lotus Petal here to give us access to blue mana. Or an LED or something. A Badlands. That is a bad land to draw here. We'll play out our land anyway, though. We have all the mana in the world. Just nowhere to go with it. We need our opponent to play a Painter on blue or something. And turn our Chrome Mox and printed cards into blue ones. Unlikely to happen. Maybe we should be playing just like City of Brass, Mana Confluence style lands here. That is a possibility. Just to help with the casting of the Echo of Eons. Defense Grid. I'll play it. If you got counter spells, use them or lose them. Consign to Memory, that's a counter spell. Not feeling good about this one. Frog is jumping in the sky. So they're going to get an extra card. And our opponent drawing cards is not something that we actually are opposed to. Just in this situation, we somehow don't have any of our big creatures that are really nice payoffs for that. A Ghost Vacuum. That does not really work against what we're trying to do most of the time. But can do on rare occasions. An Ancient Tomb. Like, I'd settle for a Fireball at this point. So our opponent's about to draw a whole bunch of cards. They might be scared of Bowmasters. So they might just minus the Tamiyo and pick up like a Consign or a Ponder or something. But the way they've been playing this Tamiyo makes me believe that they're probably going to just take the full whack of cards here. Just give themselves the old peer into the abyss. Gobbling up our Burning Wish at end step. Gobbling up our hopes and dreams in no time at all, I'm sure. Alright. How are we supposed to beat through all of that? Multiple defense grids, I guess. Oh no, they're just going to pump the frog and kill us with the frog, aren't they? Yep, that'll do. Okay. I'm okay with how we sideboarded. I think it's fine. Do we need to bring back in this Entomb on the play and just try and hit things that touch faster? And we get rid of one crawler. Try that. Yeah, sort of like the Esper tempo deck. I don't know if they got Stoneforge in their list or not. I have seen some builds with it, some without. We're on the play. We can send it with a mana floating and have nothing else going on. Is this a keep? I think it probably is. So I'm probably just mulliganing to Force of Will. If they are, then we probably have to play this one a touch slower. But the problem is, if we play out the Blackcleave Cliffs and our opponent plays out a Wasteland, then we're in trouble. But let's resolve the Lion's Eye Diamond. How do I feel about that? I don't want to go all in here. There's just too much counterspell problem. I was using the Lion's Eye Diamond as like a little tester there. If they Prismatic Ending our Lion's Eye Diamond, I'm going to feel like an absolute clown. Right, I didn't do that. We try and get a land and get something down first. Let's get the Needlehead down. See, now I'm okay to wheel my hand after this. I think this is an alright spot to do it. Now, we're not playing around days if we try and wheel now. That's the only issue. So maybe we're supposed to hold on another turn, actually. We have exposed ourselves once again to Prismatic Ending. I'm not an expert at playing these sorts of Lion's Eye Diamond combo decks. They're not really my jam. I think we're going to get our creature plowed here. Goodbye, friend. So if our opponent tries to ending our Lion's Eye Diamond, are we supposed to... Ooh, are we supposed to do... What are we supposed to do about that? Okay, I think we're just going to keep the cards in hand. No Rod's pretty good. I think we're going to be toast here. Yeah, combination of a heavy lock piece and the fact that they're running counter magic, so we have to slow down a little bit. It's probably going to be too much. This does feel like they're going to be a deck that's got many, many things to deal with what we're trying to apply. They've got the best removal, got counter magic, they've got the null rod in play now. Now we can Burning Wish for Shattering Spree. That is a multi-turn process though. Psychic Frog, that doesn't give us multiple turns really. The kind of damage they're going to accrue is just too much. Okay, we have nothing. Let's see what your damage is this turn. They could just go heavy on the Psychic Frog. They could also flip the Tamiyo this turn if they want to crack the clue they get. Oh no, they can't actually because of their own null rod. That's something at least. A modicum of usefulness on our part. Okay, they can flip the Tamiyo a different way. Understood. Another defense grid. We got nothing. We can discard an Echo next turn, but that's not really where I want to be. Expose it to all sorts of graveyard hate. Alright, they're drawing more cards. They're up in their Tamiyo. They're pondering their orbs. Ghost Vacuum. So we definitely... Oh no, actually the Ghost Vacuum shut down by their own things. We can discard if we want to at end step. How are we going to get the blue mana to do anything though? That's a different problem. Something at end step here. Just a Meticulous Archive. Get that extra Surveil action going. The left card on top. We'll get rid of our Echo. Yep. Okay, we need a land and we need somehow to resolve our Orcish Bowmasters after our opponent's drawn a third of their deck. And then they're going to draw the other half of their deck. Let's see what we draw here. Scrawling Crawler. That's not going to do it. So they're going to draw the cards, dump it into the frog and kill us again. Yeah, our deck did not cooperate there. But I think there's probably some tension in the way our deck is built that I'm looking forward to talking about later. But let's go to round 4 and see if we can dumpster somebody. So this hand allows us to send it with the mana floating on turn 1. I'll take that. We can Lion's Eye Diamond, Burning Wish, have a Lotus Petal, kick around afterwards. Our opponent is on that Lotus Petal life as well. A Vexing Bauble. That's awkward for us. Not gonna lie. How do we beat a Vexing Bauble? Tricky, tricky, tricky. a Brainstorm. So I suspect our opponent is on the Epic Storm. That's what this looks like so far. And you're going to see the power of having a Vexing Bauble combo deck versus a non-Vexing Bauble combo deck right here, because they get to shut off my combo stuff, but they get to play through it themselves. They obviously have a bunch of 0-drops, but they have the ability to sack their bauble when they need to, and they also have the Veil of Summers that allow them to play through it whilst keeping it up, which is pretty potent. Alright, let's put some cards back with the Brainstorm, play the Flood of Strands, and shuffle them away. We can play this as a Saga, and we can Burning Wish. I think I'm going to get a Shattering Spree here. We don't have to use it. We could fire it off right now and just blow up their Lotus Petal. I think that's worth doing. We need to hope our opponent can't send it next turn, and then we can untap, blow up some of that stuff, and try and wheel our way if we can find another wheel. We might just be doing Urza Saga stuff. Alright, they cracked their own bauble, which means this might be a go turn for them. Oh, they're a Doomsday list. That is interesting. Now, they might have the mana to just win the game this turn, because they have the Lotus Petals. They could cast a Brainstorm or something in their hand, and then that should be enough to win. But we get a little look at what our opponent's up to once they finish selecting their pile. Alright, let's have a little look at their list. They're just like Turbo Doomsday with Vexing Bauble, really. Alright, they've got the Ponder here, which means we might be in for a rough ride. So they put a Thassa's Oracle in the exile pile, which means they probably have another one, or they've made a horrible pile that doesn't work for them. So they have a cycler here, so they cycle it, crack the ball, the Lion's Eye Diamond, draw the consider, mill away the top card, play the Oracle. Now Vexing Bauble. They're doing them both and then cracking the LED. Sure. Yep, cycling again. One card in library, cycling again. And that is the win. So, bit of a tough one, because we're going to need access to blowing up their things, but we're also going to need access to the fence grid. And Haywire Mite is also fine here. We probably... our stuff that punishes them for drawing cards is legitimately very good in this matchup. So that is something we've got going for us. Maybe we don't need to wheel as much, and maybe we can just rely on the sideboard for the wheels, for the hate to use our Burning Wish for that. But we still have to find some of these. So I guess we'll trim on some bits and pieces. Maybe I'm not really liking this Ancient Tomb. Let's see how we feel with one less Ancient Tomb in our deck. So at the moment we have one defense grid. If we want more defense grids, we're going to have to like cut it in two. Maybe cut a Sheoldred because it's too slow. Maybe it is just the Sheoldred that go because they're slow. They are really powerful if we get one in play though. This hand does not really function for us, does it? Do I think an Urza Saga hand is enough to beat a Doomsday player? No. But our hand is bananas if we draw like one of anything. Alright, I think we can do better though. Okay. We can keep this. 1/2 mana. So we put this one away and put this one away. We send it. So we have to play around Thought Seizers as well as a whole bunch of stuff here. I don't think we're going to be passing the Force of Will check. Let's try this Burning Wish. Street Wraith being cycled. This might mean they don't have Force of Will. Let's make this bigger. Let's take the Echo. Let's play this one out. Let's play this out. So if we sacrifice this, we have to sacrifice this. We can sacrifice it for red and then use this for blue. But I think it just works out best to just do it this way. And then we can sacrifice the petal when we know what we're actually looking for. Okay, so we've got a wheel going. We can wheel again if we want to. We're 1 mana shy of being able to actually put anything in play. Alright, let's just go again and get killed by a counterspell. So the upside is we can wheel next turn because we have Ancient Tomb and the Lotus Petal. And our opponent has a random hand in their combo deck that wants to be mulliganing to certain hands. Alright, let's Echo of Eons. Let's have a new 7, please. What does this one do? We could play out a Bowmasters, or we could play out a Scrawling Crawler. Can we can't do both though. Play out a Blackcleave Cliffs and a Lotus Petal here. And I think we'll go for the Bowmaster. Maybe see if we can spike a little extra source here. We're kind of on the fairish beatdown plan now. I think it's reasonable. Our creatures are specifically quite good against Doomsday as a deck. There is your Lotus Petal. I will fire this off at end step. Just need to get more stuff going here, I think. And pressuring our opponent's life total is a really important thing to do in this matchup. Could be playing into a Daze, but that sets them back a land, which could be relevant. Right, we're just in with Bowmasters. This could get fatal pushed. Or not. Okay. Scrawling Crawler. The Scrawler. It's here. Alright, I think we attack here. Just try and get some life points down on our opponent. And probably play Blackcleave and Scrawling Crawler. We're making a Doomsday pile somewhat difficult for our opponent to get through. If they can put Doomsday on a stack anyway. This allows us to play around 1 Daze. I don't think they have a Daze. Also just gives us more coloured mana, which is really important for casting our spells. Go, Gadget, Scrawling Crawler. So we draw an extra card at the beginning of my upkeep, so they don't get that card. We get to use that card first. So if our opponent wants to Doomsday now, they would go to 6 life, and they take 2 for every draw, so they could draw 3 cards and die. They could slow draw and only take 1 for each draw, so they could just stack it with interaction. And just keep themselves alive till they can naturally draw the last card and Thassa's Oracle. Or they might not have access to it. Also, if they want to get into their Doomsday pile after they've made a Doomsday pile on this turn, that will cost them because we have the Crawler and the Bowmasters. So we've kind of got the half of our deck that is fine against Baubles. A Razorkin Needlehead, you say? I would like to attack my opponent. I'm going to go for this Razorkin Needlehead. Just really put the screws into our opponent there. I heard you like drawing cards. I can't abide that. Alright, that's quite a fun one. Let's go back to sideboard. I think just playing our guy plan is actually where I want to be, which makes me want to have access to these again. And maybe I'm less into doing the whole graveyard shenanigans thing. Maybe we'll trim down on these. I do like Orcish Bowmasters in this matchup. And we have access to the defense grid. I think I will keep this one. If we draw a piece of fast mana, we might be able to get the Bowmasters and the defense grid out in the same turn, and that can really throw a cat among the pigeons there. A Vexing Ball. Okay. Nice Chrome Mox there. I think it is worth Dark Ritualing here. Is it the Bowmasters? I think it is the Bowmasters more than the defense grid here. Our opponent can't counter this. So let's just get the thing down, start reducing their life total, make Doomsday a more difficult proposition for our opponent to do anything with. Next turn we can play out the defense grid, which gets another artifact in play for our as a Saga beatdown strategy. There is a Brainstorm. I will take that. Our opponent is doing this because they have to do this. This isn't a mistake. Well, it could be. I highly doubt it, though. People these days are so used to playing against Orcish Bowmasters. And sometimes the correct play is to play your cantrip into the Bowmaster. And that is, unfortunately, the way of things sometimes. Pretty good news for us, though. Alright, so we've got 5 power in play. I like our spot here. Do some bashing. Pity we can't get this Crawler in play now, just to really get the extra goodness going on. I think I will defense grid rather than Burning Wish here. Our opponent might be in a situation where they have to crack their own Vexing Bauble at some point. So our opponent can't counterspell our stuff. And drawing cards is going to be pretty awkward for them. So they're probably going to have to... If they do a Doomsday pile, it's going to have a Fatal Push in to deal with our Bowmaster. And hopefully we can just stick a Crawler and it will have a similar impact on our opponent. Alright, so this is going to get us a free ping with our Bowmasters. This is not going to... This is actually, that is going to impact the clock. Because they're going to end up... Because of the number they were on. Oh wow. This does not feel like the place our opponent wants to be. Alright, we secretly built a deck that just plans on Doomsday all day long. I see. Alright, 4 rounds in. We've got a cheeky little 2-2 going right now. So a positive record on the line with this pile of somewhat jank. And also, we went 1-2 in our losses, so can't argue with that. Let's see if we can get positive with this wonderful pile with Scrawling Crawler. Alright, and what do? We can just play out a Crawler and hope it draws us something good. That doesn't sound amazing. We're on the draw though. A lot of stuff can make this hand more interesting. We do need some more mana to really pop off here. I think we're going to try for something a little bit better. So what is this? No starting land. What's this? No, we can go better. We're all dressed up with nowhere to go here, aren't we? Alright, I think we're in the hole. Have this, and no other mana source. I think we can do better on 2. So close. I guess we keep the Badlands here. We're looking to draw the Echo of Eons or the Entomb. So we have 7 draws that are really good here. That is not one of them. Do I think our opponent's playing Urza Saga and Wastelands? Possibly. I'm going to hold this land in hand. I don't want to get wastelanded off. City of Traitors. Okay, probably not playing any wastelands. Play Blackcleave Cliffs, make our opponent think we're some noob who's just playing bad cards. Now, the counterpoint to that is we are playing some bad cards, but at least we're not noob, I suppose. But Blackcleave Cliffs might make our opponent think that we're just playing like modern cards in a legacy queue or something. I imagine they get Graveyard Hate here to hedge. That's what I would probably do in my opponent's shoes. Unless they have some sort of combo they're trying to execute themselves. Like Mystic Forge type stuff when they have the Manifold Key as a not nice option. Okay, they just want mana, that's also fine. That makes sense. This looks like some variant of Mystic Forge combo. There is a Grim Monolith. I think we're actually pretty alright into this deck a lot of the time. Now they are a Vexing Bauble deck, but we should be able to go underneath them a lot of the time. Right, we just got nothing on here. Apologies everyone, this hand is not really playing out. Maybe we should have kept that first one, although I don't think that was good enough. And the chance of hitting something to just let us Echo of Eons and get a fresh 7 is quite high when we're mulliganing. So we've got 11 draws that allow us to start doing our thing, although not anymore because of the Vexing Bauble, sadly. They might just crack this Vexing Bauble. It's unlikely at this point. They're kind of just doing their thing. Khan the Great Creator. I don't want to scoop to that so they know how good it is, but it is good. What are we finding? Show us some information, opponent. We get the Lattice. Silent Gravestone. Okay. That is fine. They're going to bash for 14 here. Yeah, we'll just scoop it up. That one is not really going anywhere for us. But we know what we need for this one at least. Let's put in some Abrades and some Shattering Sprees. How do I feel about our graveyard plan? It's probably fine. Probably just cutting some of the more expensive cards here. Yeah. Oh, we should have this Haywire Mite in as well. What does this hand do? Not a lot. Let's just play some fairish guys. This is a Urza Saga hand. Probably too slow still. But on the turn 3, it really does pop off. We don't have any black mana, so the ritual probably goes. Alright, let's get our Saga on. If we draw like another Spirit Guide or something, we can play the Needlehead. Got a bad feeling about this one. Alright, if they're on an Urza Saga plan though. Alright, they're not on an Urza Saga plan. Are they going to name our Urza Saga? Or just Urza Saga in general? It'll hit their own, but if their hand is not needed to make creatures, then that's fine for them. What are they naming? They did name the Saga. Okay. So there goes that plan. I'll play out a Lotus Petal here. I guess I will Burning Wish this turn. Just going to get our Echo for next turn. And then we can float some mana off the Saga. We get the LEDs. Even if they play a Vexing Bauble this turn, we still get to do the wheel. Our opponent can probably play out a reasonable chunk of their hand this turn due to the nature of their deck. Land, Grim Monolith, go to town. Right, City of Traitors. Grim Monolith. There it is. How bad is this going to be for us? Is it the One Ring? Because that's really annoying. A Glaring Fleshraker. Okay, this could just kill us this turn. It's possible. Vexing Bauble is annoying for what we're trying to accomplish, for sure. But we have boarded in a bunch of stuff to help us out on that front. We're not cracking their spawn for anything, so it's up to us. Or Badlands. Okay, so we can go float one colourless. Go and get Lion's Eye Diamond here. This won't get countered because it's coming into play. We're not casting it. There's Badlands out. We will exile this. Let's get the Needlekin. Next for blue. I guess we'll save some blue up in our pool in case it becomes a thing that we get to use. We yield to those things. We played the Badlands already, so we don't get to play another land out. We have 4 mana, which is not the requisite number to cast this Echo. So it's kind of a bit of a wash here. I guess we'll play our Haywire Mite, and we're just going to have to pass here. We've reloaded our opponent's hand and they're a combo deck, so that's not great for us either. And they get access to probably a key of some description this turn off of the Urza Saga, which allows them to pop off with this Grim Monolith. Alright, they floated this mana in the wrong stage here because they forgot that they were having to go to main phase first because we had a trigger in their draw step. And they didn't have a draw step trigger set. So we get a little bit of slight value there. We can't activate Haywire Mite without Lotus Petal. We can't put Lotus Petal into play whilst this Vexing Bauble is in. We've got 5 pieces of artifact removal in our deck. And we've also got 4 Burning Wish that can do the job. And then hopefully that lets us pop off. They are playing a bunch of stuff, so we just got to sit here and take it. Alright, another Vexing Bauble. We're taking some Fleshraker damage. They're making more mana. Like, all of these 1-mana spells are mana neutral right now, but they just deal less damage. And if they have spells like keys, then those are better than mana neutral because they will promote some additional mana for them. They're like dark rituals, basically. 7 mana. This feels like a Kozilek's command. Are they going to kill our Needlekin? They are going to kill our Needlekin. Goodbye, Needlekin. And when you have a card with multiple things that happen on it, you do it in the order that it's on the card. So if it's exile a creature on the card as the last thing, then if you were to draw a card, you would take damage first. That trigger would go on. But if it's deal damage, then obviously it doesn't work until state-based effects. Just finding something interesting to discuss while our opponent kind of plays themselves over there and will clearly just put us in the bin. Now, we don't get to do any fun wheel stuff underneath the Karn. How much mana have they got there? 3 mana. What are they going to reveal off of their Karn? Liquid Metal Coating. So that is going to act as a Vindicate every turn. Or at least for one turn, it's going to turn off our black/red mana. Alright. What is our solution here? We'll take the 2 here. I think our solution is to press the concede button and discuss why our deck is flawed. That's probably where we're at right now. I'll take one more draw step and then I'll probably scoop it up. I don't know that if we have anything that helps here. Yeah, sure. Goodbye to our thing that we had. Yeah, I'm done with that one. So at the end of the day, we finished with a 2-3. We got clowned on by some amount of counter spells in a couple of rounds, and that last round our deck just didn't do anything. And it was just our fail rate, really. We managed to spin the wheels and just not get there. But that leads me into talking about the deck, and I have some interesting thoughts. So when we played this deck before, I say this deck, when we played a version of this deck before on the channel, the one that I'll link in the description that we smashed everyone with, that deck was way more indexed into doing the Echo of Eons thing. So instead of having, like we still had Sheoldreds in the deck, and we still had the Bowmasters in the deck. Instead of having these 8 slots, I think we had maybe 1 more Sheoldred, and then we had like some Mox Opals and stuff, and just more mana to kind of get things moving. And that felt way better at doing that sort of thing. So I think if you want to play the sort of Saga Storm deck with Bowmasters and Sheoldred or whatever, I think that is fine. I think that works. We've demonstrated that works. I think you probably want to change things now, given how the meta is adapted to stuff like that, and how most of the combat decks now play Vexing Bauble. That's something to consider. So you could do that. You could even make this a Vexing Bauble deck, but then you're just making our deck kind of awkward in some ways, because we're not running something like a Veil of Summer. We'd have to run like the defense grids out of the board, and then we have to have the Vexing Bauble, and then we play the defense grid, and it becomes a bit awkward. So I'm not really sure this deck is where I want to be. But what we did see against like the Doomsday deck is that just playing these annoying creatures isn't the worst thing in the world, because people are drawing cards, right? That's what Legacy is all about. Whether they're on the One Ring, or they're Brainstorm Pondering, or there are some other people out there doing Echo of Eon stuff. So you're going to hit a lot of people with these sorts of effects. And I did have a previous build of this, which ran some other bits and pieces, including this little guy, Storm Fist Crusader. So black and red for a 2/2 Menace. Not amazing stats, but Menace is fine. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses 1 life. So this kind of does a similar thing to Crawler, except Crawler is going to trigger off of every draw, so not quite as good. But this is an enabler. It's going to ping a little bit of damage, but it's going to be getting some bits in, and it's going to be like another 2-drop, so you can have a density of Bowmasters, Needlehead, and Stormfist Crusader. So you might have like just a density of those. So you could kind of bin off like all of this plan and just build an entirely new deck with things like this. You could even run Master of the Feast, I think it's called. Let's pull that one up for you lovely people. So this is Master of the Feast. It's a 3 mana 5/5. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card. So this is kind of like Scrawling Crawler, except you don't get a card as well. But you do get a massively undercosted beat stick. So that is something to consider as well as an option. I think a deck like this would definitely want to have access to Dark Rituals. I don't believe we want any of this. Possibly Chrome Moxes. If we're running the Stormfist Crusader and the Scrawling Crawler, that's going to be a reasonable amount of regular cards coming our way. So we can have some of this. But I think what's better is to run the Dark Rituals and just be a Vexing Bauble deck. So we can shut down the counter spells. So we're just going to play all of these annoying things that our opponent can't really counter, because we're going to have Vexing Baubles. And then they're going to have to answer it through removal, and they might have to do some pondering and brainstorming to find answers to them, and we'll just be punishing them for just playing the game. So that is something I would like to play, but I'm probably not going to play that until January, because coming up next month is December, which is where we play all the weird and wonderful Turbo Depths and regular Depths and even Wilder Depths decks. So I've got mono blue Depths, mono red decks, mono white Depths, all the Depths you can possibly imagine. So definitely tune in for that starting from the first Monday in December, or Depth December as we're calling it from now on. But as for this deck, I think it was a bit of a failed experiment, but we found something that I am interested in playing. But I think if you want to try and do the whole wheels thing, there are just better ways of doing that, and we've already demonstrated that before on the channel, so check out the video at the bottom if you're interested in seeing that in the description. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it does help the channel out. We're pretty close to 4K subscribers when I'm recording this, which is quite exciting. And then the next threshold is quite a big one in 5K, so I'm excited to have you lovely people joining me on that journey of growing my channel to a point where maybe I can even make minimum wage. That would be a dream, wouldn't it? Alright, once again, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbo Depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbo Depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.